And we're live, guys. Hello, everybody.
Hi everyone.
Welcome back
Hey
to
guys.
Hey guys,
episode
so
3.
welcome back. Episode 3 of Who Scored Again. This week we have a Liverpool fan in Gautam, along with Akshay and Tushar. Our host Abin's going to be joining us in a few. He's running just a little bit late. But somebody who definitely wasn't running a little late yesterday was Big Rom, scoring on his second homecoming to Chelsea. Tushar, what do you have to say about that game?
I actually loved that game. Like, finally, Chelsea has a striker. That's that Drogba, Diego Costa level that can bully defenders, that can do hold up play. Um, like I love Lukaku. Like, he basically handled Mari like his own personal offside line. Like, he would push him where he wants, pull him where he wants. I think there was this one pass down the middle. That was a really long pass that took ages to come to him. Like any other forward would have just gone forward, collected it. This guy just held Mari back, waited for the pass, turned around, and then went and passed again. Um, I think it's a great debut. I think he's definitely improved. But that second half of that game, like it just started to look like old Big Ram again. So a little bit concerned. But I'm loving how I'm loving how Chelsea are playing right now. Like I think Lukaku was that missing piece, and we got him, and I think it's going to be great. Like um, this is the thing, right? Like the Tuchel system is working so well because if Arsenal were to become narrow, then Reece James and Marcos Alonso on the flank would just flank them and cross it in or pass it in, and they're screwed. If they went wide, then Havertz would just find a Werner, and Lukaku would find balls through the center, and you go score. So there's no way to beat that forward line. So I think we're going to trouble a lot of like everyone's going to hate playing against us this season. Like especially that first half of that game, like I felt more pressure walking through Carbon Park than Reece James has felt in that whole game. Like he was completely free on that right flank. Um, Yeah. Having said that, I'm disappointed we didn't score like 4 or 5-0. Like that second half, Big Ram was a little wasteful. He's trying to act like he's Messi dribbling through in the box and all. Just like, dude, just take a shot. Like, just shut up and take a shot. But overall, pretty happy. I think it's also that we were like, I mean, we're not at 100%, but we were a good team. But it's also that Arsenal were a really shit team. Like, they absolutely didn't track.
Yeah.
They didn't turn up. They were slow. Like all of those things. Yeah.
Uh, do you know what? I think Chelsea's first goal came against the run of play. If I have to be completely honest, Arsenal had this 10-minute period in the first half where they were really dominating. I mean, at least they were trying to dominate the game. But for whatever reason, I think the first goal came purely from Saka being not at 100%. I think because he was just not tracking back. He was just not tracking Reece James whatsoever. Like you said, Reece James had the entire right flank of the Emirates Stadium to run wherever and whenever he wanted. And I mean, the fact that both goals came from that side clearly shows that Saka wasn't fit, wasn't ready to play in this game. He was just thrown into the deep end saying, "Listen, we need you. Go for it." I think just before the goal, if you go back and watch the highlights, I think Arsenal was sort of dominant in that a spell of 5 to 10 minutes. But once the goal came, it was over. It was just no way back for Arsenal. And like you said, like he Mari was manhandled. Mari was manhandled by Lukaku. It was just ridiculous the way uh, Holding sort of uh, held his own against Lukaku, but Mari was just so
Mari
disappointing.
just couldn't hold up.
And I
Yeah.
think after the second goal went in, it was game over at that point. I mean, I literally turned off the TV and I'm like, it's done for. I mean, let me just wake up and see if it's 4-0 or 5-0 or something like that. Surprisingly, it was just 2-0. So
I
let's
think
let's get it, let's get it from a
Yeah.
neutral perspective. Let's ask what Gautam thinks about it.
I think yesterday the game was very interesting. I think first 10 minutes Arsenal really played. I would say they played decently. They played well, and Arsenal are so bad defensively. I think, and Lukaku for me, after a couple of years in Italy, he looks like almost like the real deal. He was not just like strong, and I think he was also able to link up play. And I think Chelsea looked like they could just cut open Arsenal whenever they wanted. So the first goal was clearly, as discussed, a big mistake. But I think Chelsea didn't look great defensively. There was a lot of times I felt like Arsenal could have opened them up. And Arsenal, even after 2-0 down, I think in the 70th minute, they really like pushed forward for a fair bit. And I think it was a very good attacking performance, especially for someone in their first game with a team. Like Lukaku was really impressive, physically strong, dominant. He gave one or two, he was able to lay off for Mason Mount and a few others. And offensively, they looked good. They were able to bring Reece James a lot into the game. And the left side was a huge vulnerability for Arsenal. I think Tierney was 2-on-1 many times. And Chelsea looked good really going front, but at the back, I feel like in the big games, they may still, based on this performance, there's still opportunities for other teams. And Lukaku was thoroughly impressive, I thought. And Arsenal were just being Arsenal in the back and going front. And I think one more thing I wanted to touch upon is that this Lokonga guy, this new Arsenal midfielder, he looked quite good actually. His passes were quite good, and for someone again in one of their first few games, I thought he played kind of well. And Arsenal are a young team, which is understandable, but Arsenal forever have been bottling it. But yesterday I felt like they really went forward and they had one or two chances, perhaps, where they could have scored. But having said that, Chelsea also look really good up front, and Lukaku, like you touched upon, could have had one or two more easily, quite easily. So
Yeah.
Chelsea look good going forward. Arsenal look really bad at the back. Chelsea weren't particularly so solid as they are normally. That was my take of the game.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So let's get in
I don't think Akshay
Fazli's.
watched the game though.
Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I was on a flight back to Bangalore, and
Yeah.
I was back in base for maybe the last 20 minutes, but I didn't bother logging in to the game. Because I knew it was pretty much over.
It was over the moment the second goal went in, and
Yeah.
to be fair to I mean, I guess Arsenal, you can't really be fair to them. I mean, they've been bottling it for a long time now, but
Yeah.
there was absolutely no help for Tierney from Saka when Reece James was just I don't know. He was just bombing down that side. Like he could have just parked himself as a right winger and just played there the entire game. It was just sad.
This one thing I realize is that Chelsea now have the option that if they want to build from the back, they can. But if they just want to hoof it up front to Lukaku, they can do that as well. Right? He'll hold up play and then he'll link up. And that's a great asset to have. Like we didn't have that before. Like Werner was too. He's not that strong presence. So he
Werner is not.
hold up. Yeah.
Werner, the thing with Werner, I don't think he's a back to the goal sort of a striker. Like he sort of runs past your main striker.
Yeah,
I think Werner can play with Lukaku.
He's not even a second striker, which is weird. He's more like I don't know, it's like a 10-ish.
But
Just
having said that, I feel like Werner also missed a lot of sitters and he's not particularly good at finishing. And Lukaku, for as good as he is with his back to goal, he's also like a finisher. And Werner, I feel like last season, especially, a lot of sitters, simple chances, which average strikers can tuck away. I think he missed too many. And I feel like on this note, Liverpool dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Anyways, let's talk about Fazli's comment. If Arsenal players can keep. You want to take it, Sid?
if Arsenal keep their players, they can make top six next season. Then at least they can have a chance in the playoffs to get immediate promotion. Back to
Oh wow! What a burn!
oh my god! Oh, oh god! Oh, that was a good comment, Fazli. I feel like we
Yeah.
should pin that
Yeah.
comment. But
That's a good one.
speaking of promotions back to Premier League, why don't we speak of the eternal yo-yo club Norwich and their back-to-back final losses to the Premier League champions Man City? I think the last time they played, they lost 5-0. I was surprised. I only said 4-0 in the predictions, but yeah, it
Yeah.
was City in scintillating form. I mean, that Spurs game was just probably a small starting trouble, but I think from here on in, it's City. I think they step on the gas.
Mm.
Did any of
Norwich
you
must
watch
have
the?
PTSD. Yeah, I was part of it, but
Yeah.
absolutely must have had PTSD from just seeing Man City, dude. Every time they meet Man City, they get royally whooped. Like,
I think the thing with them is the first game. I think 2 seasons ago, also the first game I think was against Liverpool where they lost 4-3 or 4-2 or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but it was
I
one
think
big.
4-1. I
Yeah,
think Tuki scored a goal, I think.
Pookie scored a goal. Yeah, I remember that. But
Yeah.
that was
That was the start of the
Pookie
Pookie
party.
FPL. Yeah. Pookie
yeah,
party
Pookie
for the
party. Yeah,
FPLs.
I think that was the season that Liverpool won the league. I think that was that
Yeah,
Norwich.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
Yeah.
Tuki.
Correct. Correct.
yeah.
I
That
think
was
Norwich is like a promoted team which doesn't really like have a great identity. Like some teams are strong at the back, some teams like Leeds really attack and just go for you. So I think
Mm.
Norwich were like literally specialists of nothing, and Man City showed them like who's the boss. I think pretty much. I think final
I
was
just
kind of
sometimes, yeah, I just sometimes think they give up against Man City. They're like, guys, let's just go stand in the park for 90 minutes and come back. Next game, we'll see.
I
I
just
think
think
even
Norwich as a team. Uh, I just think they're just too good for the championship, but they really suck at Premier League level. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
they need to bridge that gap somehow. Either they sign some half
yeah,
decent players, or
Ex-
just give up. Like I mean, just stop getting promoted.
Yeah. So Brandon Williams has gone on loan today from United, right?
I think Siddharth, your internet is
Yeah. I think he's dropped off. Anyways. But
so.
speaking of players going to Norwich, we have Brandon Williams who signed a loan deal for the entire season with them. And I think Abhin's pointed out that it should be a fun team to watch with him in there.
Speaking of Norwich, I think like Siddharth touched upon, they need to pick up more like players, who are Premier League quality players. There's far too many championship players, experienced championship players who are good, but
Yeah.
nobody at the Premier League level. Like even now, I'm surprised they haven't made more signing. Like Gilmore is good, Brandon Williams is kind of good, but they need more like experience. I feel like if they're really serious about staying up, and as in terms of start, it's as tough as it gets. The good news for them is games get easier than Man City and Liverpool, so they really have to step it up in terms of signings. I
Yeah. I think they also
Yeah.
got the wrath of like Pep's revenge. Like when Pep loses a game, the next game he just goes all out.
think. Yeah, that's true. And
So
Yeah. We have Karthik asking if Daniel Farke is the new Neil Warnock.
Karthik Bhargava says Daniel Farka is the new Neil Warnock.
maybe.
Any thoughts on that?
I think Farka is better than
I
Warnock. Warnock is a bit of a
I
loose
don't know. I
nut.
wouldn't agree with that.
Then we have Shreyas here saying Norwich City is like that unwanted uncle who just pops in 10 minutes and vanishes.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
one.
so do you want to move on to like the Liverpool Burnley game?
Yeah, I think it's a good time to let Gotham take it
Yeah.
from here for that game.
What do you think of that game?
So first of all, I was quite surprised to see Harvey Elliott start, and because I know that he had a brilliant campaign in the championship last season, and I think he had the second most assists or something like that. I think that was Wilson, but yeah, he had a brilliant season nonetheless. And there
Yeah,
were talks of them retaining him this year. I thought more of sub appearance. So first of all, I was really surprised that he started, and I was kind of surprised that he started. And Liverpool kind of looked good in the game. He played really well. I think Harvey Elliott for his age, given that he's 18, and there were quite a few chances for Salah to score. And I'm sorry, that was technically offside, but Liverpool kind of looked good, and they were able to break down Burnley side that can be stubborn defensively. And another surprise for me was Jota starting straight up. I thought he's going to rotate with Firmino and Jota, but this season it looks like Jota is going to be given the go ahead to start more games, which is kind of fitting the bill because we need a proper striker, and Firmino is an interlink player. So I was half expecting Firmino to start, and was surprised to see Jota and Harvey Elliott. But I think Liverpool played really well and deserved the victory. Could have been one or two more. I think the interlink play, and in particular, Elliott is very smooth on the ball. So they were able to open up Burnley on a couple of occasions, and score a couple of goals. So that was really good
yeah,
to see. And I think we're going to get in more stronger midfielders who are going to perhaps be even more stronger, but we'll touch on that later. I think for this game, Elliott looked composed, good passing, and the fullbacks as usual. With Liverpool, it's a it's a given that you have attacking, bombing fullbacks. I think Simicas with an assist, he was played had a really good game right till the end. He was battling, and it was good to see a spirited fight, back-to-back clean sheets, opening up tough teams and like Burnley to score. And it was good to see Mane also on the score sheet, like get all your forwards up and firing. So overall, on the whole, it was a very positive thing to see Liverpool go after Burnley and like beat them.
yeah. Especially
Yeah,
after last season.
Yeah, especially after last season.
Yeah, I'm
I,
sure.
I,
I'm
I
sure
think
you'd be really happy.
I think that Jota answer to like where everyone keeps ridiculing Liverpool, saying that your striker never scores, and everyone's like, no, Firmino is not a striker that needs to score. He's the guy that links up play. Then finally, Jota comes and scores, and they're like, yeah, we have a striker that scores. Screw you guys. So they just turned the whole script.
No,
But
but
I
I think
think that, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, please finish.
Yeah, but I think the game was like Semica's masterclass.
Yeah.
And the biggest take from that game is Mike Dean went a whole game without giving a card. Like I was so
Oh,
Yeah, dude, what
happy.
the
I
Yeah,
was
what
that
like,
the
was
fuck
a
was that? Like, I had a bet that the because it was Mike Dean, I had a bet total cards over 1.5. Okay, bloody, there wasn't even
and Burnley. It
one
was Mike
card.
Dean and Burnley.
And
Yeah.
Burnley, yeah,
yeah,
and like
correct.
I'm sure that there would have at
But
least been one card.
I think there was it was worthy to get one or two people were worthy enough to get a card, but I think Mike Dean just put it in his pockets.
No, but I think
yeah,
this
but I
there's
think
this
it's
new
just also
rule.
that new,
New
yeah,
There's
the
rule,
new
New
yeah.
Indian
Indian
rules.
rules.
Yeah,
contact, yeah.
yeah.
And
So
maybe a
But
little bit
speak.
agreeing
Yeah,
with Ole on that. Don't turn football into rugby. Like it
True,
can't go
agreed.
from
yeah,
basketball to rugby. Like it needs to be somewhere in between.
I know, I agree
Uh,
with that. I
but
think one
yeah,
more.
I also agree. I also agree with that. Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah,
Speaking about uh, rugby, why don't we segue into the United game? Because I think the first goal, I
yeah.
mean, the goal that the Saints scored should have been called back for a free kick against Bruno. I think
It,
it's it's
yeah,
very. It was plain to see who was the defender. I think Jack Stephens got the ball from behind Bruno. And this is nothing, no bias, no United bias, none of this. It's just, I think personally, it was a foul. It was a foul any day. If say for example Grealish had done that to Salah, I would have done the same thing. It was I would have said I'd rather said the same thing. So, or even for that fact, if Maguire had done that to Salah, I would have said the same thing. It was a foul any day of the week. I don't know why this new stupid rule of letting things fly. It's just there is contact sport and there's rugby tackles. I think this
Yeah.
was towards the latter.
I
So
think the English Premier League and the FA are just the biggest, I don't know, losers when it comes to deciding how to referee. I looked at the
Well,
Euros and I
Yeah,
saw what
it's
refereeing should
mind
be.
blowing.
They
yeah,
let it
exactly.
go.
Yeah,
They let
I
it,
feel like
and
they
it's
went
not
to the
like
Euro.
yeah,
Yeah, like
and it's not like Euros. They had practice or something. It was just on the money. There was a referee even from Argentina. And then I look at the Premier League. Last year it was a whole crazy diabolic things were happening. And this year, like opposite is happening. I also agree that Bruno, it was probably a foul on Bruno and should have been blown. Despite being a Liverpool fan, that's the truth. And I just feel like now they're going to the other extreme. Let it play, let it play. Let's not give anything foul.
Yeah.
And
it's
it
stupid.
was just,
It's
it's
like
just, they just
it's like the
can't get their
FA
act together.
the FA
And
went
for
like
me, the part
go
is
ahead, go
this
ahead.
could influence the championship, who takes home the championship, and that's not cool. So
Yeah.
a lot of these funny things because I think very clearly Bruno was also aggrieved. I think he got yellow carded after that.
yeah, he
So
did.
Yeah. Rightfully, like
it was
I,
very clear
I
it
don't
was a
blame
foul.
him, but I don't blame him
I mean, I
for
don't
getting.
Yeah.
blame the yellow card for dissent. I mean, that is fine. That
No, no,
he
no. I'm
Yeah.
not
got it for
blaming,
dissent.
No, I don't blame
but
him
you can
for
understand
being
the
what he
player's
did, for doing
perspective.
what he did
Yeah,
to
You
get
can
that yellow.
understand the player's perspective when it is such a clear foul and you don't
yeah.
give
It
it.
was clear. Wait, so
And
is Livramento was Livramento a Chelsea player?
yeah, I think so.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
he
you
I
was.
lost a
thought,
gem of a player, honestly. That guy killed it yesterday in the Saints
Yeah.
game. My God, that guy was good.
I mean, we
But
also
God,
have like 46 players
and
on loan,
Harbin's back.
so
I think that's Chelsea's model. Another thing I wanted to say was I think despite the goal being allowed, I don't think United played particularly well.
Nah, they
Hmm.
didn't. They didn't.
They didn't,
I mean,
No, not
and
at all.
and
Yeah.
typically I think even last year there were patches where United didn't play well but just came away with the result. And I thought Southampton played thoroughly well, deserved something out of the game, and perhaps
you
could have even won it. Had two sitters, I think Armstrong missed.
yeah, they
Yeah,
had
Armstrong missed a
Yeah.
Armstrong.
sitter.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
surprised Dave saved that like in real time, and then I saw the reverse angle, and Armstrong hit it straight to Dave.
straight
So
at
yeah,
him. It
Dave
was
did
harder
save
Yeah.
it.
to
It
not
was.
save it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was harder
It
to
was.
not
It
save
was
it.
really stupid.
Not save
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think,
So
but
I
one
mean,
thing that surprised me was Southampton kind of were playing defensively okay, sort of against the United team. And United normally like the away. I think Siddharth can touch on this better. Away they are stronger. They kind of just nick you and get the goal. So I was very surprised that
I
we didn't see a lot of attacks.
honestly,
so
I thought the moment. I mean, just before we come to you,
yeah, go on.
I, I, I thought the moment Pogba scored. I mean, the Pogba chance where he just sort of hit it wide. I thought
Mhm.
that would give the side an impetus to go on and win the game. But I think we're still struggling with the whole low block defense. I don't think we still have what it takes to break teams down, especially with Fred and Matic in midfield. There's no bloody way we're
Yeah.
gonna.
I
We'll
don't know
probably
why he
finish.
started.
We're,
Who
we're
he
probably gonna
started.
finish fourth if
Yeah.
he continues playing Fred and Matic in midfield. I'm more certain about that. Like, and I read I don't know what the Athletics says, but I read last night that uh, Ole was the one who said no to Bissouma, and if that's really the truth, then the entire midfield shambles that we are in is all on Ole. I'm not saying Ole out, none of that. I
Mhm.
would never say that to any United manager.
Yeah.
But if he is clearly, I don't think Leicester's selling NDD. If they were, I would go for NDD. But Bissouma is the next
I
best
don't think
thing.
that's happening. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but apparently Ole said no.
Yeah,
So
sorry, I'm back.
until they
why
fix that whole central defensive midfielder, your
Mhm.
holding midfielder, whatever you want to call it, there's no way we are going to break the low block. He should have played the midfield two of McTominay and Pogba in the 70th minute instead of waiting to the 85th minute.
Okay, also
Yeah,
not just that, I kind of want to talk about very quickly before we move the next point. You can play all the midfielders you want. You can play all combinations, Donny Van de Beek, this whatnot. You need a striker who is making those runs into the box. And
Yeah.
for 60 minutes of that game, Martial did absolutely fuck all.
nothing.
It was just like, okay, fine, you can give this person only so many chances. He's been there 6 years at this point. 2015 we bought him in, and he was supposed to set the world alight. It's very evident he does not want to be that kind of striker, because if Cavani had come on, I would have, that low block that exists, he would have made darting runs, pulled a couple of defenders with him, opened up spaces for the likes of Pogba, Greenwood, and so on. Because the thing you'll notice about Pogba and Greenwood is that they both play inverted. Like if you put Greenwood out on the right, he plays inverted. You play Pogba, who's not a winger, who's on the left, he also goes inverted. If you wanted somebody to maintain the width, you should have played Dan James, who, for all his faults, is a decent enough winger, and he just keeps making those runs, getting in behind. His final output may be absolute ass, but the fact that he makes those runs contributes to the team in a way. And I expected this to happen in a way, because Hasenhüttl, obviously a bit of an ego whacking, given the fact that the last time these guys met, it ended up 9-0 to United. So he didn't want 3-2.
9-2.
Yeah. 3-2.
No, not talking about the Saints. Not talking about the Saints fixture. Not the
home.
The last time they met. Yeah.
No,
Even
the last time they met was the 3-2.
No, dude.
No.
It was a 9.
Yeah,
It was a
talking
9.
about the one where Mike Dean sent off somebody even after looking at VAR.
No, Yankovic, that guy who he got rightly sent off because he went knee high, like more than knee high.
No, 2 people were sent
No,
off.
I'm talking about Bednarak.
Oh,
Bednarik.
Bednarik got
Westergaard.
That was a 9-0 game, right?
No,
Yeah,
Yankovic and Bednarik. So Yankovic is the young. He made his debut, got sent off. Bednarik got sent off in the 94th or something.
Yankovic got sent off very early in the game. I think 10th or
Yeah.
10th, 11th minute, something like that. Yeah.
So obviously what Hasenhüttl did was, he's like, fine, I will press you in certain places, because Fred's, out of all the 3 midfielders that he could have picked, he picked the 2 that are most susceptible to the press. McTominay is very capable at beating the press. Matic, you just can't move. He slows the game down. Fred can't pass. So you have a wonderful combination in midfield. One person who can't pass, one person who can't move. What progression is going to happen? Even United's goal came from a wonderful move, but I would consider it to be very lucky given Greenwood's finish, because he toe pokes it through like a crowd of people and it unsides Alex McCarthy, who is a shit goalkeeper in my opinion, and it like back of the net. Come on, like what the fuck? But in terms of strikers, like if there's a Cavani regen hiding out somewhere, United need to find him. It could be Haaland next summer, but for this summer, if we can get Martial off in a deal to West Ham with Lingard and this plus 15 million for a Declan Rice, I wouldn't be too opposed to the idea. He's useless. He offers nothing to the squad anymore, and I'm quite frankly done with him. I don't know what the comments are saying. I may have pissed off a few people.
I think to top it off, also Martial, I totally agree with what you said. He's had his time, he's had his chances. He did nothing. I don't think he did a single thing, and he absolutely didn't do anything. And I think Martial's time should be done pretty much. But also, having said that, I believe that I think United have not gone for a striker so far because they really want to save the money for Haaland. I believe that they really want to go for him. I think that's why they're holding back on a Harry Kane or anybody else, which is actually the right thing. 1 year without a striker, and then you get what is a beast of a striker. So
for
I
a
think
pretty good deal, in my opinion, right? Because next
by
year
the way,
his class kicks in.
Anthony Martial's girlfriend has been saying she thinks her husband is good enough to play for Real Madrid, and what is he doing in United?
I would love for him to go to Real Madrid. I would love for him to go to Real Madrid and turn in the performance he's turning in now. It has taken. If they play,
Ancelotti is just waiting there.
I forget Ancelotti. It's the fans. The fans will kill him. So it's just Ronaldo. They gave shit to.
You know what? I actually trade. You know what? I do a trade with West Ham. I'd sell them Martial. I'd sell them Martial, Lingard, and Fred for Declan Rice.
I would keep Fred because
and then pay them 10 million for extra, and then buy Declan Rice.
So when you dropped off the call for a bit. I said,
I don't know what happened.
Sell Martial.
Martial, Lingard, and Fred for Declan
I
Rice
keep
plus 10
Fred.
million.
I want us to keep beating Man City. So he's the only good games he has are against those kind of teams. Let him stay.
I think
Uh,
Inter
At
Milan were
this
looking
point,
at
like I
Martial.
honestly 50 million down the drain. Screw that.
The problem
Yeah,
with
so on. Sorry,
Italian clubs,
Gautam.
it's always a loan deal. It's
I'm
never a
also
sale. It's
surprised.
like
I
2 years
think
loan plus option to buy always. Any
yeah,
They still
Italian
haven't
club.
paid us for Lukaku.
right now they have no money. I think the Italian. I think United really need to be look at midfield, and I'm surprised nobody is like talking about Saul Niguez. I think it's a
Oh, everyone's
brilliant
talking about
midfielder.
him. It's just that Atletico won't
It's
sell him
tapered off. I
for.
think it's the talk is like gone off
Hmm.
quiet. United
Hmm.
really need to look at midfield this year and then maybe a striker next year if they're looking at Haaland. So that's
I
surprising because
wanted.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
can challenge Man City, especially if they get Kane.
no, I want City to get Kane because if City get Kane, it's basically opens up that
Haaland.
route to Haaland. Because next year, let's assume Mbappe runs his contract and moves to Madrid, which in my opinion is the dumbest thing to do right now. But good on you. Like I wish you well. He moves to Madrid. He's going to charge at least 600,000 pounds a week or euros a week, depending on. And there itself, Madrid's budget is going to go. So they can't afford a Haaland. Barcelona can't register players, so they're not going to buy anybody for the next 3 transfer windows. Liverpool don't shop in that transfer market. They pick and choose people. I forget what the guy's name is. The director of football, Michael something. No,
Michael Edwards. But I would tend to
Michael Edwards.
disagree there, Abin, because
Hmm.
Liverpool spend big when they need big players. Van Dijk,
Yeah.
Alisson. When they have to go big, they go really big. Like when they see generational talent or like someone who's really a star signing. So, this to touch upon, I'm not sure if we'll get, but I'm sure we'll try because Alisson goalkeeper was a problem, but they solved it with huge money. Centre back, we were like very soft at the back. They solved it with bringing him probably the best centre back in the world, in my opinion. And right now, the striker position, although Jota has got up and running, I don't think he's a natural finisher. A lot of it are like under the goalkeeper, just here, there. I feel like that position, but the structure doesn't fit because Salah is a goal scorer, not a creator. So I'm not
No.
sure. I'm not
Plus,
confident.
I personally
Just
don't
to
think.
ask you, can I just ask Gautam a few questions on
Yeah,
Liverpool?
sure.
Okay,
One thing
what did you think of the transfer market for Liverpool this year? Like,
Okay, see,
No,
so
which is the point I was about to make. The fact that this is leads directly to that question, Gautam, is that
Yeah,
when you
sure.
mentioned the two big players, Van Dijk and Alisson, 75 million, 70 million. It came off the back of the Coutinho transfer, which in my opinion is the best transfer Liverpool have ever made because it essentially won them the Champions League, won them the
Premier League.
the Premier League, and then the year after that, when Bayern Munich won the Champions League, they got money because Coutinho won the Champions League, and there was some clause in his contract. That Barcelona had to pay them. So just imagine the amount of money they fleeced out of Barcelona. Great deal, but like those two big money transfers happened because of that move. Right now, with this transfer window, you bought in Konate, and it's been relatively quiet.
It's not even a whimper, dude. There's not even a whimper of Liverpool transfers. A whisper.
I'll ask. But one thing about Haaland, I don't think he is a Klopp profile player, and the only reason why I think he's a luxury player. He doesn't track back like Firmino or Jota does. He doesn't do the running, the hard yards. So he definitely won't fit into the Klopp mold where you have to press all the time. I just don't think. I mean, I'm not saying Liverpool can't afford him. I'm sure they can, but I just don't think he fits into that profile of a Klopp player. That's all
I'm not sure. I don't think we get Haaland. But to touch upon your question, Tushar, see, first thing, I looked at the Liverpool squad constantly. Who do we need? We have a set back four. We've got a backup also to that back four now. Everybody's up and running. Our midfield, perhaps the only thing I want Liverpool to get Saul Niguez. And, we have, quite a decent midfield, I'd say. We have two backup goalkeepers now, and Kelleher, who's another backup, is also quite decent, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I've always seen him short, and I was wondering how this guy will be a keeper, but he did well last year. So, and then we've got 4 wingers. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I think today maybe Shaqiri is sold to Lyon.
For
So we've
9.5
got,
million. Yeah.
yeah,
That's
so
all it
we've
is.
got like Mane, we've got Firmino,
Curtis Jones.
and we've got
Curtis,
um, Salah
Curtis,
along with Jota. We've got four attackers, and we've got this young diamond like Harvey Elliott, who's really like, I think they're going to try and push him a little bit more. So perhaps one striker, one midfielder is all I think we need. And Liverpool play
Yeah.
hardball with the money. So don't be surprised if, say, Saul comes in at the last minute, or they were talking about Jeremy Doku. I'm not sure if that happens, but I
That's
think,
actually, I see that as such a Klopp player, though.
yeah,
That's such a
exactly.
deadline
Watching him
day
in
deal
Euros.
pressure, dude.
And
No,
So
but
and
from what I've
so
seen of
I
Jeremy
just
Doku at the World Cup, at the Euro, sorry,
yeah, I think
such a Klopp player.
he's a Klopp player. He's a real deal, and he's young. So maybe just two players is all we need. We've already got a set team to replace Wijnaldum.
what I'm worried about is like last year, you guys, the club was like, oh, he's injured, that fellow's injured, this fellow's injured. Don't blame me, don't blame me, don't blame me.
No,
Okay,
but to be fair,
so
we had massive injuries issues, and the
yeah,
problem
but
is
that's when
normally
you need bench strength, right? Like if you
true.
don't buy players, if you're not constantly in the market and you don't improve bench strength, then you are going to suffer. Like your Liverpool, you're like look at how everyone's spending. United is spending, Chelsea is spending, City is spending,
True.
everyone.
No,
Arsenal is spending, dude.
I
But
take
Liverpool is
Arsenal,
not
the highest
spending.
spenders this window, dude.
no, yeah, I
Arsenal have
take
been the
Yeah,
highest
yeah.
spend.
Dude,
Yeah.
Liverpool
They're the
playing the
highest.
Premier League. They're not Besiktas or something in Turkey,
see,
dude.
I
Like
take that
they have to
point.
play, and they. So that's why I think they really need to buy players. Otherwise, you're
No,
going to
see,
have another season of injuries. Then you're a little bit screwed.
no, see, I take that point,
But
but
the
there's a
but the
catch to that
ones
as well. The catch is like last year was a very compressed season, and Liverpool play the highest intensity of football. I don't think United, City, Arsenal, nobody has the intensity that a Klopp Liverpool team has, and that takes its toll on injuries. So
That's
even
usually
if
the
you
like
see the
Dortmund. The
even
same
if
thing
you see the
happened. Like
season we won, there wasn't great backup bench strength or something. Origi just like would turn up and score here and there, and you know. So it's always been a case of like building slowly. Now I feel like another two players were good. I would have ideally liked a striker, but seeing that Jota is going to be the striker, it's better. It's good to have him as a finisher. And also to touch upon your question as a transfer, I don't know if you're aware, but there's been investment in Liverpool from Billy Bean for those of us that watched Moneyball,
Moneyball, yeah.
and Billy Bean's business partner and has come in through a company called Redbird Investment, and they are all about Moneyball statistics. So now I think if you also look at a Liverpool signing, it's going to be somebody like an Ismailia Sarr at a 30 or 40 or maybe next year at a 50 million valuation, who's like young, who's got bags of potential. I think Konate is also in that mode. That is why I think maybe Haaland might not come, but 64.75, you never know. The big thing is I think Siddharth's point is he doesn't maybe fit in. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think we need a couple of players, and sure, we
Also,
have.
what I also think that maybe, I mean, considering we're keeping in mind the American connection, this team, the current Liverpool team, is somewhat on one of its like this is, in my opinion, the last dance for them for the current crop, because
Agreed.
one of
The
so
cycle, right?
which
This
is
cycle's
why,
ending
yeah,
here. Yeah.
this cycle is coming to an end, right? And one of the three will go. Actually, I think Firmino has is the one that's most likeliest to go, but he won't
Yeah.
command the highest fee. So it ultimately comes down to Salah and Mane. So if you were to sell, gun to your head, if you were to sell one person, one of the two, who would you sell and why?
I'd sell Mane because I think Salah is very clinical, and he's very Karthik Bhargava has touched upon saying Billy Bean owns Barnsley and AZ Alkmaar. So Karthik, that's why Billy Bean did not go ahead with the Liverpool investment, but the other guy from his name skips my mind, but has invested as uh, Redbird Capital, I think Redbird Investment. So they took around a 10% stake. And so, gone to head, I think Mane is a very good player, but Mane's greatest strength was his ability to link people and feed and also finish off some goals. Last year, his finishing kind of tailed off. Even he admitted he did all the physical tests, everything was same, but he didn't know why. And he didn't know why it was happening, and then so this season there was a clip in the Burnley game also where Salah was open and he didn't pass. I feel like there's now a little bit of a you or me kind of thing.
I feel like
with
it's always been there, right? Like
It's always
It's
been
team is
there.
liability.
Yeah.
Team
very
is
evident,
liability.
I think now, and I
very
think
evidently.
yeah, it's very evident. And if you have to look at it that way, Salah is the finisher. He's always there. He's always like, in the thick of the chances. Mane is more like there were a couple of times last year I felt like, shoot, why are you passing? And he's not as clinical, say, as a Salah. But having said that, he tracks back more. So, but if I had to choose one, I think Mane is replaceable. Salah is more difficult to replace. So I'd go with keeping Salah, selling Mane. And also to touch a point,
Mane.
I agree that it's the last cycle for these forwards, especially. I think there was a great piece on Sky Sports where they said, every 3-4 years you have to keep recycling forwards. That is the only reason I still hope that they look at Haaland, because Klopp has had Lewandowski before, who's been a clinical, deadly finisher.
But Lewandowski
he-
pressed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was-
and
he had to
Klopp
work
has
it.
said
And
his greatest player has always been Lewandowski. So you never know.
I
And
agree.
recently,
I mean, I agree by far.
Yeah.
Have you
yeah.
seen only when you mention that, at one point springs to mind is when Dortmund played Madrid in the Champions League and Mourinho was the manager. In the first
Lewandowski scored
half,
4.
he scores 4, and
Yeah,
all
he
of them are
was
certified
brilliant.
bangers. Yeah, and he was,
Yeah.
and Ronaldo was on the pitch as well, and like it was pure destruction at that point. We as United were looking for a replacement striker because this was the season. I think we just bought Van Persie that season, and it was. I mean, we were having a great season, but I would have killed for somebody like Lewandowski. What a player! And now he's available in the market. So there's okay, guys. I'm about to move the topic away from Liverpool for a bit. Two very interesting points have come up over the last week. One is that Ronaldo wants out of Juve,
Yeah.
but Juve insists that they won't sell him because they haven't received any bids for him. The second is Lewandowski also came out in an article and said he's looking for a new challenge, and Bayern currently value him at about 100 million. Now,
I think
don't
Lewandowski is tired of playing FIFA on easy mode. He's just it's so boring. Let me go somewhere else.
No, but I think Pep goes to Khaldun Al Mubarak and says, if you want the Champions League, give me Robert Lewandowski for 100 million because Daniel Levy is being a prick, and I will win the Champions League. Because right now, that seems to Harry Kane's management should really buck up because they're in a world of shit. If I'm not mistaken, he fired his brother. Like his brother no longer manages him.
Oh, really? He fired him?
Yeah.
He fired him. So,
Oh,
He's like,
that's
you
pretty
made me
interesting.
sign a 6-year contract. Who the
On a
fuck-
gentleman's
Who signs a
gentleman's-
6-year contract, dude?
Yeah, and adds gentleman agreement clauses. Like no clause.
No, there's no clause.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
gentleman's
clause. It's a
agreement.
gentleman's agreement.
I think Harry Kane's biggest downfall has been his own team. He shouldn't have signed a 6-year with Daniel Levy. I mean, you know the guy. Come on, it's not like an unknown or something. It's Daniel Levy. He'll be saying, "Oh, 300 million only.
Yeah.
I'll sell you." It's just typical of him.
I would actually make sense if there was a
6-year
swap.
contract with Daniel Levy.
You know what? If I were leaving, if I were really petty, I'd be like, okay, you want Bayern if you want Lewandowski, 100 million for Lewandowski, I will give you Kane. You give me Lewandowski, no money exchange done. And that is the what do you call the absolute petty move. Even though he gets no money in return, he gets a good striker for about 2 seasons. But I don't know. I recently read news.
So Karthik Bhargava was saying Chelsea is pursuing for Saul Niguez according to sources. Like, why do they
Yeah,
need
they are.
another midfielder?
Because I don't think Jorginho is cutting it at the moment. At least for what Tuchel wants to achieve.
What are you saying? Like, that guy's literally won everything that's there this season.
Also, I mean, I noticed you guys talking about Lukaku and he absolutely bullied Pablo
Yeah.
Mari. Like literally, it was so sad to see. That being said, all the irritating shit that he did 2 years ago is still very much there. By which
Yeah,
when he
we
gets the
said that
ball,
as
I'm
well.
like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
we
bro,
touched
just
upon
shoot.
that.
Shoot
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Shoot now. Please fucking shoot now. Why are you taking on 6 players when there's so much space available? Just do it. And that's where you're going to get pissed off with him. But yeah, we'll see as the season goes. But yeah, so there's a PSG are floating the idea of putting in a bid for Ronaldo. And
Oh,
Oh God, no.
man, no
We're
way.
not in that timeline, are we?
Are we living in some alternate reality?
I think on that Lukaku thing that Abin touched upon, I want to tell you something that Zlatan said in an interview. In Fabio Capello managed Juventus team, he was taught in Italy, it's goals that count. I don't care what tricks you do, what you do, it's goals. Shoot, score. I feel like Lukaku will be better than what he was 2 years ago. Well, so let's see. I don't know to what extent though. Is he completely like a reform striker? We'll see. But I think
I'm very intrigued to see his battle with Van Dijk, because I mean, obviously
yeah,
this is
I
not
think
the
Yeah.
not
yeah,
the Van Dijk
I was
pre-injury, and Lukaku has
I
a
was
wonderful.
literally about to say that.
But
He
the
has this
thing
thing
with
like
Van Dijk is, I've been like watching him in the first game. He was the slowest player on the pitch, and he is not by any stretch of the imagination. So
He's
I've been
rusty,
following,
right?
yeah, I've been following a close eye, and there are some noises coming that Van Dijk might be given a rest, although they didn't say when. And Lukaku is fully intense and ready to go, and Van Dijk is still catching up to speed. So I'm not sure if they'll rest him, but a lot of that game depends on that combination of those two. Like, does Van Dijk play? Is he up to speed? Is he ready? Because if he is, I think he can handle Lukaku. But let's see.
Yeah, I think he starts I think he definitely plays that game. And I think this is Van Dijk's Ferdinand season, by which I mean Rio Ferdinand was an exceptional defender, and he counted heavily on his pace. And then when the pace went, like he had to reshape up his game. And I think that's what we're going to see with Van Dijk. I feel he's going to stop relying, because his pace essentially is what gets him through most of his pace and strength, right? Because Troy Deeney has a wonderful comment about Van Dijk where he talks about he's so effortless. He doesn't get intimidated by you. He bullies you off the ball, and his hair smells nice. So it's like you can't hate the guy. But I'm going to be very interested to see this weekend as to how Lukaku handles the challenge, because these are the games Lukaku goes missing in, like really goes missing in. And yesterday, as if it weren't for Kieran Tierney's brain farts and Saka's refusal to track back, I don't think Lukaku gets that as open a chance as he did. If you notice, any other half chance that he got, he didn't score, and he needs about 4 to 5 to get going, and that's that. And
I mean, he was in quarantine. Like, he only came back last week. Like, he barely played 4 days with the team.
I'll tell you something. What I feel about Van Dijk now, I think he's not fully up to speed and not ready yet to handle Lukaku. This is what I feel now, because he's still like limbering. I don't know if the pace is gone, but he still needs 3-4 game weeks to like get going. And if you throw in a Lukaku who's fit and firing and ready to go, and it could be not the best time. But having said that, there is also another on the side. There was talk that Konate might debut. I don't know how far through that is, but Matip is also kind of strong player, so that might help him. But let's see, because I think in terms of fitness and ready to go, Lukaku looks better.
I think Werner makes the difference in that game, but we'll get to it in the game week 3 preview, because there's something about it that I feel he'll come on and change it and change the game there. I just have too many vivid memories of Lukaku being through on goal at Anfield and fluffing his lines. It's very infuriating. So we'll move on to anything. What have I missed? We've done Arsenal. We've done.
I think we should do the first game at Ellen Road in 16 years. I think that was a fun game to watch. How about that?
2-2. Yeah, it was a very entertaining game.
Yeah, it was really fun game to watch. Yeah. And the thing with Leeds is you always know it's going to be a fun game as a neutral. So I think it was super. Yeah. And they came back from a goal down both times. And honestly, they could have gone on and won the game. I watched the highlights. I think they should have gone on and won the game.
I thought they would actually win the game, because last time Everton went there, they got absolutely walloped. And but in spite of that, they still pulled out a pretty good result. But guys, today also there's a very fun game coming up. Speaking of fun games, we have Leicester taking on West Ham, the final game of of the week, and we all have FPL assets from either of those teams.
As long as Ben
Which
Rama
way-
doesn't do anything, I'm happy.
Benrahma should score.
I think I want Benrahma to do something.
Yeah, Benrahma and Antonio.
Antonio is fine. I mean, Antonio, I think
Goal
pretty much across
and
the
assist to
board.
each of them.
No.
And also just to touch upon that Leeds Everton game, I think it's so good to see Leeds back and in the Premier League. I think they're one of the original big teams. So it was great to see that atmosphere. They have a great rivalry with United, with Liverpool. So it was good to see the Premier League livened up with Leeds. And on the other hand, it's surprising to see Rafa Benitez's team, but I kind of expected it. But defensively, they're still finding their way, I think. So
It'll take some time, I guess. Yeah.
that'll take some time. Usually, he brings solid formation and kind of really blocks out teams. So that was there, and I think, but Leeds are in the attack really showed up. I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
Well,
Bielsa
not
is
speaking
doubling
of
down
Everton,
on like,
just
One second, I'm sorry.
he's
guys. One at
doubling
a time.
down on like murder ball, dude.
Sorry, what?
Like he's going even more intense this season.
Who?
Who,
Bielsa.
Bielsa?
And I don't think that's good for his players because he's almost doubling the intensity and he might run them out by December itself.
I agree with that. I think Leeds will get burnt out this season. You can't play like that for so long.
Forever,
And
yeah.
And not suffer injuries more than anything else. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think they were a lot more smart about it on the back end of last season, where they went into a more conservative style of football. So my first introduction to Bielsa and was the Bilbao game in the Europa League a couple of years ago. So when United, the 2012 season, the Aguero season, United got knocked out of the Champions League, went into the Europa League, and they came across a very young Bilbao side in the Europa League, which had Fernando Llorente, Ander Herrera, famously. I think Muniain was also there at the time. And they came to Old Trafford, and they absolutely murdered these guys. Paul Pogba played that game. Pogba was in midfield. They absolutely murdered United, pressed them all off the park. And I was like, well, who is this guy? And then turns out he's this crazy ass from Argentina who showed up holding a grenade. There's so many fun stories about Bielsa. And I think the Leeds fans, they understand that the trade-off is we're not going to be Burnley, where like Burnley are basically in the Premier League to make numbers survive. The eternal strugglers, what Burnley are, they will just battle against the odds. But with Bielsa's team, I think the Leeds fans are like, occasionally we'll get the 5-1 whacking. Unfortunately, it happens at the hands of their biggest rivals, which is just how there's a sense of a Greek tragedy to it. But at the same time, they're also play some very attractive, very expansive football, and I think Calvin Phillips is a big part of that. And whenever he's in the team, he enables like that team to go forward because he's back there cleaning it up. And I think he's the best number 6 England currently have. I feel he's still learning his trade. He's good at breaking up play. He's got a decent passing range. I'll be excited. I think Leeds finished similar to where they were on the table in the last season. But I'm excited to see how they're going. And as for Rafa's Everton, higher than Arsenal this season.
Oh yeah. I think they'll be higher than Arsenal for sure.
I think Arsenal is out.
I think anybody's going to be.
I think this is
like all 19 teams are going to be higher than Arsenal this year.
I think this is a good time to segue into our where will Arsenal finish?
Okay, are we doing it? We're doing it. 1, 2,
2,
3. Okay.
Yeah, let's ask Gautam.
Let's ask Gautam where are
That's not Gautam.
I think maybe 12th, 13th, probably if they're lucky.
Why do you think that? In spite of no Europe.
So I think there's a lot of other good teams. Knowing Rafa and having followed so closely when he was a Liverpool manager, and I expected him to do well at Newcastle. He did. I expect him to do well at Everton, and I think he will. So of course, there's the other fixed top 5. I think teams like Tottenham are much better off, and there's so many better teams that will be more consistent than Arsenal. And Arsenal's too. Normally they're bottlers. Now they've got young bottlers. So that's a big.
I think they have a very interesting. They have a very interesting team there, and so And my whole thing is now they've basically bought for Mikel Arteta. And yesterday after the game, I went and watched a lot of.
I think Abin is.
Abin
We
Karan.
dropped off.
Okay, Gautam, best case scenario, where do you see Liverpool finishing?
Oh, best case scenario, I can see Liverpool winning the league, but
Oh,
otherwise,
damn.
yeah, that's provided
But
we stay injury free and we're on form. That's like best case. But otherwise, I
yeah,
see them
okay,
second or third.
realistic case scenario.
Realistic case, second, third.
Second, third, okay. And like bad, like lowest, like failure season
Worst
Lowest,
case.
fifth or sixth, I think. Worst
Yeah.
case, worst case. I don't see
Yeah,
less
they're
than
not
that.
finishing. Yeah, Liverpool's not finishing outside the top four. I think the worst case is
Yeah.
fourth, and that is if one of the four players that I'm going to mention have a long-term injury. Either it's going to be Salah, uh, Van Dijk again, Allison, and maybe Mane. If one of these four have a long-term injury, I mean, without Mane, they could still manage with Elliott. I don't think that should be a problem. But I think if these
But
three get a long-term injury, Liverpool finish
just
fourth.
to
Nothing lower than that.
Yeah, I
just to
But
think
add
what
on
if
to
Van
what
Dijk
Sid
doesn't
said.
find his form? Like,
No, but
what if
that's
he
the thing.
doesn't
Like,
find
even if he doesn't find his form, the worst case for them is fourth. Because let's face it,
But
Spurs are not going to finish above them. Leicester are not going to finish above them.
no.
Everton's not going to finish above them. So, who else do you have?
so.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I
That's
But
true.
just to
kind
add
of
on
see
to
that.
what
But
Sid has mentioned,
see,
if
but
Mane gets injured, we have Jota who can replace him, right?
Yeah, who will
As
play
on the
there,
wing.
and then
And
Firmino plays
Firmino
back.
will, so
Yeah.
so that will work for them, and it did towards the latter half of the last season when Jota
Yeah.
came back from his injury.
see, the reason I said maybe fifth or sixth is because we know that City are going to be consistent, probably most likely. Chelsea look really good this year. I feel like United have addressed a big issue with Varane. I think he's a fabulous centre back. And if they get a midfielder, I think United also are going to be challenging for the title, provided they get a little consistent. So, and then the other outsider I may see looking at, I've always rated Nuno highly. So Tottenham, if they keep Kane, and if it's a big if, so they could challenge. And if Liverpool have those set of injuries, then it's a risk. But that's like worst case, like nightmare
Spurs
situation.
Spurs have put in a bid for Adama, and oh my god,
Adama
I mean,
Traore, yeah.
that's
Interesting.
Nuno,
And
right?
also,
Nuno,
they're about to sign this Pepe Sarr, I think, from Mets, a young midfielder. But I think Adama is going to be a big deal if Adama comes. He's got pace and power, and he's a
I
Nuno
don't,
player.
but
He knows
I
everything.
don't think
But
I
didn't
rate him that
didn't he-
well. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel
have you, like,
Adama
this
is the
weekend's game?
personification of like he's a personification of like dribble, make no scorey. Like that's what he is.
That
Dude.
is
Like he
that
can
is
dribble
that
through.
was that was Valencia at United wearing the number 7.
Yeah,
Not number 25,
No, even like
number
this
7.
number
this
7.
this weekend, Traore should have scored 3. Like, he should have had a hat trick. If you've seen the Wolves Spurs game, he breaks he breaks the offside trap each and every time, gets behind the keeper, and then refuses to and then just skies it. Like, picks the wrong
Yeah, I
decision
think
time and time again.
Very wasteful. Very wasteful.
Yeah, I think
Pulling
he's
some
very
burners.
poor at picking the right decision. He's got loads of pace and power. I think he got offered a contract in NFL also because he looks like one of them. And I think someone like a Klopp can do wonders on him
Yeah, running back.
and help him, make the right decisions. Because if he does, I think he's world class. The last bit, the final third, he's not up
There's
to
a
it. But
stat that
There's
after
that little bit of
Messi and
sprinkle
there's
dust.
after Messi and one more player, he's the third best dribbler right now in the top
Neymar.
5 leagues.
Neymar.
Yeah, Neymar.
What about ASM?
So is the third best. Yeah,
Traore.
No,
dribbler.
but one thing, if he does sign for Spurs, then Levy, I don't know about the oil budget at Spurs. I don't know if he's okay with that.
The lube.
That's what Karthik Bhargava has put out in the chat.
Dude, I don't know why like Spurs need like Adama Traore. Just put
Don't they
steroids
already-
on Lucas Moura and oil him up, dude. Like he'll be like budget Adama Traore, dude. Like you don't need to buy him.
But imagine
No,
Lucas,
dude.
Adama, and Son as your front three.
And Bergwijn. Did you see Bergwijn play
Bergwijn.
yesterday? Yeah.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think
Hey, but Spurs are
was a
2-2,
bit
dude.
stupid. He should
Full
put him through.
efficiency.
Who are the teams that are 2-2 so far? You have Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs.
Yeah, I think Nuno goes in there
Brighton.
and fixes their defense.
Brighton.
Brighton's 2-2.
Oh wow, Brighton, yeah.
Who else is 2-2?
I'm just pulling it up. Give me a second.
I think
So
two
we have
into only
Chelsea.
these 4 teams.
Only these four: Chelsea, Liverpool,
Chelsea,
Brighton,
Liverpool, Brighton,
Spurs.
Tottenham.
All that XG is finally coming to play. Good, isn't it, Brighton fans? So
I can't. I can't. Like I had a chance
But-
to take Maupay in my draft team and I did. But anyway, FPL is for later on in the week.
it's okay. He's a
you
cheat.
wanna talk-
We hope Brighton get relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, tie. But
I'm sorry, it's you were saying.
should we talk about how Mr. Mauricio hasn't started either of Messi or Ramos yet?
Oh, he hasn't? I haven't been paying attention.
No.
What's up?
They've
Yeah.
not been on the any of the team sheets. For the
Yeah,
first 4
I think
games.
he's still
Is it 'cause
figuring
the-
out how do I put everyone in the team.
And imagine if Ronaldo shows up.
Oh, man.
Honestly. Potts will be like, why do you even need me? Like, guys, go play.
Just do your own thing.
Do your thing.
Give the ball to Messi. Leo,
I
please
think-
pass it to
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo.
And
I think
Ronaldo's going to
yeah,
be sitting on the
Messi-
sideline.
A Messi assist to Ronaldo would be stuff of dreams, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just to see them both play on the same team would.
You can't
I
scream
think-
without Messi. You can't scream
You
C
can't-
without Messi.
Oh my
But
God.
I'll tell you what.
You-
Like think about it.
Just think of
I
the
think,
Qatar World Cup, dude. That's all I'm going to say. If they decide to put in a bid, just think of the World Cup and think of what you're going to do. Imagine the hotels. Just imagine the hotels.
One's owned by Neymar, one's owned by Messi.
Oh yeah.
So you know where the Portugal team is staying, you know where the Argentina team is staying.
And the Brazil team.
And the Brazil team.
Yeah, the Brazil team, yeah.
And you know who's in the semi-finals, basically.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a masterstroke to actually
Allegedly.
get Ronaldo now that we know that.
I
you know,
mean,
this talk-
I feel like Ronaldo is too much of egos in one team, dude.
No, I don't think it's for
Yeah.
footballing reasons. I think it's for marketing reasons because the 2022 World Cup, if Corona
exactly.
is able to control or something, they'll get immense marketing. I think they sold 1 million jerseys or something of Messi's within
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first few days. So
So
already, I think Paris is the new Galactico era Madrid. I think.
Yeah, it feels like
It
it.
It
feels
feels
yeah,
like
but
it
they're,
certainly feels
again,
Yeah, but
they're
but
also
there's
playing
no-
life on easy mode.
I know, and to
The
do that in a
domestic is
World
so
Cup
sad.
year would be, I think, perfect marketing for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Very interesting
let's see.
times. Okay, do we have anything else to
speaking-
talk about?
Speaking of like ex Messi and Ronaldo teams,
Mhm.
I mean, I was just looking at the Madrid team, dude. Like, if Barcelona hadn't shit the bed so badly, the spotlight would have been absolutely on the Madrid team because, dude, other than Benzema, I think that squad is aging and they don't know what they're doing. Like, Bale is taking free kick and all suddenly. What is happening there, dude? Like,
No,
that squad looks absolutely shit.
Free kick taker.
No, I think Madrid is doing the right thing in terms of their financial future. If you look at Barcelona, it's a complete mess. Madrid, they had a
More
stadium
problems,
renovation when the
Yeah,
lockdown was
but
happening.
Madrid team is pretty bad right now. They need massive.
No, true. I
rebuild.
think
Like,
next year they'll probably might get Pogba and Mbappe. So they're trying to build up, being careful of the financial situation, which makes sense. Otherwise, they're going to be the next Barcelona. So that makes sense from that perspective. But let's see, because evidently Spain is falling back. But my big question to you all is like, how the hell are PSG managing FFP? What the hell is going on?
they got
They
everybody for
basically
free.
signed one person. Yeah, they signed one person with the transfer fee. Everybody.
Yeah,
It's not a
and they
question of
factored in
signing. The wages.
the
like,
wages.
The
yeah,
wages.
right.
It's never about the signing, right? That's what we discussed in our first pod.
No,
It's never
15
about
people
the
are
signing, it's
on.
about-
15
you know,
people, I mean,
this PSG president was made the president of the European Club
UEFA.
Association.
Yeah,
And
he was-
UEFA president said he's a good guy. This said, I don't know if that's got something to do, but you can't sign so many players. Ramos isn't going for for peanuts. He's going for heavy. Everybody are like, what the hell? And France, there's no income in France. Like French league doesn't gain
No,
so much
but
of.
as far as I've read on the Athletic, PSG are just inside FFP. I don't know how they're managing it. I don't know the math. I don't know all the stats or anything. But they claim that PSG are just inside FFP, and so they're not breaking any rules.
Speaking of
Very
also
strange.
French league, did anyone see the fracas at
Oh,
the
yeah, I
French?
did.
What do you
Oh
call
man.
malice at the palace in French? I'd love to know. So,
What? Sorry, what?
what do you call malice at the palace in French? How do you say it? Because okay, so for those of you who don't know, malice at the palace is a very famous incident between the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons that took place at the palace at in 2004. And it's on Netflix now. There's a documentary on it where the players and the fans started having fights. World Meta Peace, or back then as he was known as Ron Artest, got into a pretty big situation. Something very similar happened yesterday, where Dimitri Payet, someone threw a projectile at Dimitri Payet, and he threw it back, and he responded, and then the fans came down onto the pitch. Some Pauli the coach got involved. It was pure chaos, and I think Nice were docked the point. I mean, Marseille were docked the points, and Nice ended up taking all three because they didn't return to the pitch. So something along those lines.
Hey, no, wait. I thought the game was called. Was
Yeah, it was
That was
called
called
off.
off.
Oh, it's called off.
No,
I was suspended.
No, I thought
No,
because Marseille didn't come back on, Nice got the points, is what I'd read. But if I'm corrected,
No,
just
but
let me
it's. I mean, think about it. Like somebody threw a bottle, like a beer bottle or something, at Dimitri Payet, and
know.
I mean, of course, everybody knows he's got the shortest fuse one can
Yeah.
possibly have. He should not have reacted, but for whatever reason he reacted, and that whole all of the ultras got onto the pitch, and it became a big sort of a fight. But
yeah, the ultras were doing like Nazi salutes, and they were doing like this
yeah, they were basically
anti-Semitism
being
stuff.
racist towards Payet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how? I mean, you at the start of the match, you wanna take the knee, say stand against racism, but when it's actually happening, you don't want to support the player or the team that is actually going through. I mean, having abuses, racist chants and racist abuse hurled at them. I don't think that's the right thing to do from the French league perspective to dock points. I know Marseille didn't want to probably come out because they want to protect their players, right?
Yeah. But the ref said, "Why don't you come out?" And then they refused. So then the other guys got the points. But I don't think that's fair. Like they should have called off the game
Yeah, they should have
without
suspended it and
any
then
point or a draw or something. I don't know.
no,
I kind of.
or you just play it the day after. I mean, at that point, it was what 70 something minute or 80 something minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just come
It was
back and
almost-
play it behind closed doors, like send all the
I
fans
think
out, and then
this happened in the UEFA Champions League where I think PSG played Besiktas, I think, or was it some
Yeah,
Istanbul
and
Başakşehir?
Başakşehir, yeah.
Başakşehir. So, but
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah, don't remind me of that.
having said that, I think just Payet is just a stupid guy. Like so many times it happens all the time. People throw this, that. Why would you throw it back at the crowd? That's like literally saying, "Come and hit me." So that was stupid. But yeah, I don't think there should have been block points for that.
I mean, on that note, is there anything else that anyone in the comments would love to ask us? We'd love to respond. Like to. Okay, never mind. Anything?
should
We've
we
covered
go to
pretty
game
much
week?
everything, right?
game week 3 preview
Yeah,
No,
should
game
we
week. The
do a
game week
quick
3 preview. We'll do that midweek, right?
on the FPL show.
On the FPL show, we'll combine both of them back to back. Or do you want to do the preview now? Like,
We'll just do the Chelsea v
can do a
Liverpool
quick
game because
preview.
I think that's the game. That's the big game for the week.
And
Okay, let's
if
talk
all of you are
about-
up for it, should we do a watch along for it?
Karthik is asking us thoughts about Brentford. I didn't watch the game. Did any of you watch Brentford?
No, I
No,
didn't.
I
It wasn't on.
unfortunately
I don't.
watch it.
It wasn't on TV. It was. They played the other game on TV. They played the Leeds Everton. No, the City game on TV. at the same time.
Yeah, Tushar and I
I think
we'd taken a
Brentford had a lot of chances from whatever I saw in the highlights, and Tony had a couple of chances where he could have scored, and they still look good going forward, Brentford. And I think there's definitely some attacking talent there. We'll have to see how it materializes in the Premier League.
That's, I think, for the FPL show. But if you want to talk about Chelsea, Liverpool for a hot second, considering we have Gotham with us, I thought that's something we can do. Gotham, just give us your quick thoughts on this, and we'll all go run through it and wrap up the show.
Okay, so I think Chelsea is a brilliant team in their own right. I think the whole contest is going to rely on three crucial things. The first one is how fit Van Dijk is, and is he going to play? If he plays, and it's going to be Lukaku versus Van Dijk, which is going to be a big thing. The second thing is, as we saw in the Arsenal game, Chelsea's right is strong, and if Tsimikas plays, Liverpool's left is not so strong defensively. If Robertson plays, we're stronger. So who starts there? Because Klopp is someone who typically slowly brings somebody back in. He doesn't just throw them straight in. But this is Chelsea and it's a strong team. So if it's Tsimikas, he's a great backup, but not a first choice against big teams. So that's the second battle. And the third one is how well Chelsea's defense is able to cope. And if Firmino starts, because there's going to be a lot of interplay with Firmino, can they stop it? If Jota starts, maybe not as much interplay, but still better finishing. So how well can Chelsea's line really step up to that? So I think these three are the key battles. And also one more key game changer could be if Thiago starts. He's been slowly brought back in. I think towards the end of last season, he really kicked on and he could dictate the midfield. So I think, but these three battles are going to be my main thing. Van Dijk, Robertson, and how well can Chelsea's defensive line hold? And the honest answer is we have to wait and watch. Liverpool have got a chance. Chelsea have also got a good chance. It's going to be depending on the fitness, 50-50. If somebody like a Tsimikas starts, then Chelsea, I would say, are at an advantage. So it's a good thing to wait and see. These are the three key battles, in my opinion, which will decide the game.
Your prediction for the game?
Vishal.
My prediction would be 1-1.
Okay.
Coach, you want to counter that, or do you want to add something to that, or do you agree with that?
I agree. I feel like last season Tuchel came in he came in half the season, and his biggest asset was that he just never let goals in. He was the team should not let in any goals first. Then we'll talk about the attack later. These last two games we've looked a little shaky defense. Main thing is that we kept attacking, so it's easier. But Liverpool are not a pushover team. They're gonna attack like crazy. The intensity is high. Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota. There's something to watch out for. It depends a lot on how well our defense is able to hold up. Yeah, I think attacking. I think we'll score goals. I think there's at least two goals or 3 goals in us, but it might even be like a 2-2 or 3-3 kind of a game.
I sense a draw.
I think. I don't know. Where are they playing? Anfield or the Bridge?
Anfield.
I think it's Anfield.
Yeah.
If it's Anfield, I think Liverpool will nick it.
I think it's a draw. I think
both teams are going to go for the win. So
I think it'll be like 2-1 Liverpool.
It's Anfield.
Yeah, I think that will
Karthik
be
thinks
2-1
it's 2-1. Karthik thinks it's
2-1 to Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Of course.
I think both teams are going to go for the win, and it's just going to end up as a stalemate.
I sense
No,
teams
there's,
have got strong
there's
attacking
definitely goals in the game. There's no, I mean, like
a stalemate,
Gautam
not a complete stalemate, but like a draw, as Gautam mentioned earlier as well.
No,
I
I just think only because it's Anfield. I think and the fans are there. I think Liverpool make it 2-1.
Actually, I just checked and it is at Anfield. And I don't know if you guys saw the Tsimikas tackle in the weekend, where Anfield just rolled him on. So that could make a difference.
Yeah, it's the one where he gets.
He's wrestling and that power is quite something else. So I think I forgot that for the last 18 months, it was an empty stadium and the effect wasn't really there as much. But this
Yeah.
could be different. The first big game with a full crowd. So yeah, it could still be. I mean, 2-1 to Liverpool also sounds reasonable, but I would still kind of stick to my prediction. But it could go either way. That crowd factor. I just it's thinking in. Okay, the crowds are back. So that also has a huge effect, I'd say.
I just think it's going to be a 0-0 because all the goals and on that day is going to be in the early kickoff,
Man City game.
which
Huh?
is by Arsenal played.
Hey, never back the early kickoff.
Never back the early kickoff. I
No.
agree with you
But
100%.
that's only for the big FPL
not-
players.
No, I'm not
Yeah, I
way
think
too
so.
much
I
money backing
would
the
love
early
to talk.
kickoff.
Yeah, we'll
I would love to talk
Talk
about
about
Arsenal versus City, but we leave that for the second show of the week, which should be either on Thursday or Wednesday, depending on everyone's availability. I think that should be that. We've done an hour and 15, hour and 16 minutes. So it's been fun. I mean, I apologize. I was a little late to get on the pod today. It's my dad's birthday, so we've all been out. And yeah. Anyone have any points to make before we wrap this up?
It was good fun,
No, I
guys,
think we're
being on
good.
this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, just
and
thank Gautam for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you for joining
Gautam,
us.
please come back next week, dude, because we'd love
Yeah,
to
sure.
talk about the result at least, because I'd love to know what you think where we stand. Because I think the international break is after the next game week, so we'll.
Sure, I don't mind. Let's do it next week.
Let's do it. All right.
All
Okay,
right.
that's it for me.
Perfect. Yeah.
See you, everyone. Have a good one. I'll speak to you.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Cheers,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you for everyone
Take
for
care.
tuning in.
Good night.